welcome to the Jake New Podcast, or welcome back to the Jake New Podcast. Hopefully, so um, hello. It's been an eventful week. Thank you to all the people who watched the last podcast. I think we're at like 9 or 10 views, which is just really amazing, and I'm really grateful for that. This week I have a couple of notes so that we're not so unorganized. Um, but this week I'm going to talk about fear and faith, or faith and fear. Um, so, yeah, let's get into it. So, I want to start with a Bible verse. It's like this is Bible class or something. So, of course, I think most of us know this verse. It's Romans 8:28. This is the New King James Version. It says, "And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose." So, mostly those who follow God's will, those who are putting God first, all good things will work out. Things will work out. All good things will come to them. Life will work out for them. And I use that verse for this topic, and I'm not one to always throw the Bible at people, but I really think that we have a misconception when it comes to things like that. For instance, there's a verse that says, "Faith without works is dead," and people, it was hot. I'm in Texas, so it's a little hot and a little burning, but anyways, uh, especially people like from my community, the African American community, use that verse to say, "Oh, I need to work hard to get anything, right? I need to push myself past my limit, and then um, it'll work out because of the work that I put in." But I'm like, how much? I feel like we put human limitations on God, right? So, what if the works are mental works? What if that means, okay, you need to work on your mind, right? And then have faith, right? Faith without works is dead. So, what if it is your faith comes from the work that you do on your mind? That is how you have true faith. So, then let's go into that. What is faith to me? Faith to me is I truly believe, right? I truly believe, which of course, when you go into faith, it's believing beyond what you can see, right? Um, but to me, it's like to truly believe. It's more than just beyond what you can see. It's beyond even what you think is possible, right? Um, so it is the like true, total, and complete belief in God, right? In something beyond you, in in the fact that nothing is impossible, right? Um, so yes, I think that we mix all these things and we twist things to make sense to our brains, but like nothing makes sense if you go deep enough. Nothing makes sense, right? I was a biology major for like 2.5 years. There is nothing that is fact, right? I think we look for facts, we look for proof, and even things like the scientific method, right? Is at the end they're like, is it repeatable, right? Can it be repeated? Okay, good, right? So it's never a this is a fact, this is what it is. It's like, okay, you did these steps, and then this is your result. If you gave that paperwork to somebody else and you told them to do these steps, could they repeat it? If they can, good, right? And then of course you do it over and over again, and if it's repeated every time, then you just say, okay, yeah, that's good, that's true. But true, in fact, you know, um, but anyways, I'm going on a tangent. My point is that we really have to focus on putting God first, and therefore, what hmm, if we truly believe that God has all power, right? And we believe that we are doing his will, and therefore good things will happen to us, therefore he's going to take care of us, therefore we will be all right, then why are we afraid, right? And that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today. And I'm going to talk about um the last year of my life, and like what has been happening, and just go into that a little bit. I'm not going to focus as much on the summer because, like I said, I want to do a separate podcast on that. But I'm not going to be too long. But I just really want to like focus in on this and just talk about this subject, right? So Me personally, my life has been shifting a lot recently, and as many of you know, I make music, I do films, I do like a lot of creative things, and there's just a lot of uncertainty all over the place, right? And but I honestly choose now to just trust God, right? Literally, fully, and completely. Because guess what? In my experience, it always works out, right? He always takes care of things and takes care of me. Like there's no, and I'm not even talking about like, oh, I'm surviving, I'm eating. No, like I'm always good. My bills are paid. I always have gas. I always have food. I'm able to take care of other people in my life, give to my friends, hang out with my friends, give to my family, hang out with my family. I even ask people to ask for more sometimes because it's like I know how it feels to be in a place of like lack, right? In a mindset of lack at all times. And then at the same time, you're like, oh, I can't ask these people for this. I can't ask these people for that. You know, another thing is we have to unlock that, right? We are here together, right? Just as people, just as humans, we are here together. This is a team sport, right? There's always somebody that has the information, that has the knowledge, that has the tools to get you where you need to be, right? And I used to have this perception that I think many people may have. I used to have this perception that was like, oh, the only way to get, to where you want to get is like nepotism, right? It's either you work super hard until you like almost die, or there's like nepotism involved. It wasn't fair because they had these people. Y'all, we all have those people. Literally, the same people that are giving somebody else a leg up, you can give a phone call to. You can send an email to. You can walk up and talk to. But we live in these bubbles where it's like, well, this is where I am, and these are my people, and this is what I can do. No. Everything is possible. Literally, whatever you want, you can have. You just have to work for it. And sometimes work is a phone call, right? I think we I think we've really lost the plot, right? We're like, okay, I have to work hard, so that means I have to stay in this role for 5 years and I have to push myself and do the best I can and beg my boss and what? No. And especially in the age that we're in now with the internet, you can look things up. Okay, if I want to do this role, let's look up that role. Okay, what responsibilities, excuse me, okay, what responsibilities does that role have? Okay, who do I need, who is in that role? We literally have stuff like LinkedIn, we have stuff like Indeed. We LinkedIn, you can literally search a company and then see who works at that company, see what their titles are, see what roles they have before that role. You can literally line things up to get where you want to be. And then on top of that, you don't even have to do all that planning. Pray, get up and talk to people, get up and do something, right? And I'm not saying like I'm not Kim Kardashian and y'all Kardashian. I'm not being Kim Kardashian right now. Like I know that we are all trying to put in effort, and in all the craziness that's going on in the world right now, things are not easy, right? And I think it's also time for us to just start acknowledging that. This is not a normal time. And I tell that to, people are in an older generation. I say that often. I'm like, this is not a normal time. And the response is normally like, oh well, there's always been something going on. There's always been wars. There's always been this. But I'm like, it wasn't this. Let's be for real. It wasn't this, because this is from every angle, right? Like there's no normalcy, right? There's no like, you know, everyone was affected by the last 3, 4, 5 years, and everything is different. And then on top of that, like the political climate right now is ridiculously dangerous. The lack of faith in a lot of people, this like generational divide where it's like, oh, y'all are lazy, y'all, the younger generation is lazy. Well, I'm like, we missed a couple of steps that you had. And then the economy, we have to spend way more money just to survive. Like a lot of things have changed, right? But then that's where God comes in. I think we have lost. People like to use religion as a weapon, but they forget the love part. They forget the God part. It's just like, oh, religion. Now do this. Hmm? No. No, 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 no. But anyways, back to my notes because see all these tangents. I got some comments that were like, you did a lot of tangents. So let's get it back together. Oh, I want to talk about the lack mindset. I think I already mentioned it a little bit, but I'm gonna talk about it with myself. So I last year, really over the last year, up until like a couple of months ago, was really in a place of like I had this lack mindset. So it was like, okay, let's say I do have a chunk of money, right? Well, I can't spend it. I can't do. I have all these dreams, all these things that I want to do with the money, but I'm not going to do that because guess what? I need to hold on to it. I need to save it because maybe this might happen or this might happen, and oh, this happened in the past. So I need to make sure that I'm prepared for this. And it was really just this like cycle that never ended because guess what? The money ended up getting spent anyways. Okay, I was trying to hold on to the money, but then this happened with my car. I was trying to hold on to the money, but then somebody asked me for the money and they needed it right now. I was trying to hold on to the money. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was just always something. So I shifted that to, okay, you know what? If this is what I want to do, let's make it make sense. Okay, I'm not telling nobody. First of all, I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm telling you about my experience. Okay, no lawsuits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But what I'm saying is, like, I really had to shift that to get to a better place, to get to a place of like, I'm going to make it make sense. I'm going to, of course, have a number in my head, like this needs to stay in my bank account. But once I know that's in my bank account, let's make some moves, right? Let's take some risk. Let's do some things that I want to do. I think we're losing the life part of life. I think we're losing the life part of life. Like, you have to live too. You have to have fun. You have to have experiences. You have to do things outside of work, sleep, work, sleep, survival. Survival? You know, we have taken on these survival mindsets which work for like war, which work for like depressions and poverty and all these things. But I'm like, when we're not in those states, some of that stuff is not healthy. You know what I mean? It's not healthy. And I'm not saying to be dumb. I'm not saying to spend everything that you get or like not be, you know, conscious of emergencies and things like that, but to always worry. And I say this often that worry is illogical because it really, really is. And I'm the only reason I'm even doing these podcasts or like or a lot of my music, like I said, it's just about this is what I've learned. So please, like I'm just trying to give that to you. I'm just trying to depict things so that you don't might not have to go through what I've been through, right? But back to my experience, I was in this just state of lack, and something like these bad things just would keep coming and keep happening. And of course, you know, when that's how your mindset is, you're not, you're like, there's never been a point in my life where I feel like I was just completely like non-religious or separated from God. I've always, thank God, you know, I grew up in the church, and God has always been a huge part of my life, right? But when I was in this darkness, literally, it's like, yeah, I'm praying. Yeah, God is there, but then he just starts getting quieter and quieter because, you know, instead of thinking of God, instead of thinking of the good that you can do, guess what I'm thinking about? My bills. Guess what I'm thinking about? The bad things that might happen. I'm doing a job that I don't like. I'm around people that I don't like. And then it just really, really like, if you take nothing else away from this video, please take this. Like, your mind controls everything, right? So if you start going down these spirals of like, okay, everything is bad, I don't like this, I don't like that, it's just going to build on itself because then you're like, yeah, and I also don't like that, and I don't have that, and why does that person have that and I don't? You know, so you really have to focus on the positive. And I said this in the last one, I don't mean always in the moment because we're not being like crazy, right? Like you don't want to be like somebody slaps you in the face and you're like, I love you. No, please do not take that literally. Like if somebody slaps you in the face, sometimes people need a lesson. Okay, sometimes people need a lesson. Sometimes you just gotta show people something. And because listen, some people didn't have the right parents. Okay, some parents didn't give their kids no whoopings. So you need to parent them real quick, and you need to put them in their place. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is you need to look for positive things in your life, right? And on a regular basis, so that you're at a constant state of like, I'm okay. Life is good. So that when these things come up, it's like, okay, whoa, this is happening right now. How do I feel? And even let's talk about it. So like the other day I had a moment and I was at work. I there were things happening and I really had to take a second. So I literally got up, logged out of my computer, and went for a walk. And went for a walk and just breathed for like 5 minutes, and then came back, and then I was okay. Because sometimes you just need a second because you're like, whoa, what's happening? Instead of me sitting there and just pushing through and going down spirals all day and me mugging people all day, I just like, you know what, I need a second. And that takes time too, because you have to get to know yourself and recognize like who you are, what your normal states are, what your triggers are, right? And then how to put yourself back. And I think, I'm grateful for the increased conversation about mental health now, and we can have many podcasts about that. Okay, that last time in my life, I have a lot to talk about, a lot to talk about, a lot to talk about. Okay, but no, you know, people talk a lot about triggers and what triggers you, and oh, I'm mad because this is you shouldn't have done that because that's a trigger. But we don't talk about, okay, but how do you get back, right? Because if something triggers you and you're triggered in that moment and it takes you to a place, how do you get back to normal, or how do you get back to better than normal? And I think that is an important tool to have, right? So what I did was I went on a walk. I recentered myself. I'm like, you know what? Let's get back to reality, right? Because you can hyperfixate on things. So I said like, okay, this is what just happened. This is how it makes me feel, right? And then and in my brain right now, it feels this big, right? But how big is it really? Okay, let's start talking about just that day. Okay, this is all the stuff that I have planned for today. This is all the stuff that's going to happen today. This is all the stuff I already did today. Okay, now let's put in that thing that just happened. How big is that compared to this day? Okay. Now let's talk about this week. How much have I already done this week? How much do I need to do this week? Okay, let's put that thing in comparison to this week and this month and this year. And then you see it and you're like, well, maybe it's not that big. Like, it sucks. It doesn't feel good, but maybe it's not the worst thing in the world, right? And you just have to kind of put things in perspective like that. And then back to faith, you have to like rely on God, lean on God, like seriously. Because if anything was actually in our control, if anything was actually up to us, if we got the lives that we deserved, if we got the realities that we deserved, dude, this would be hell, literally hell. So it's just like, you're gonna trust him or you're not. So make the decision. And that's really the gist of all of this. That is really how I feel about that. And yeah. So just like some life updates, I just released the anniversary edition of Summer Days. I'm excited about that because like it's almost a year. I think yeah, like next month will be a year of Summer Days. And just to go into that song a little bit, that was, that song came out when I was in the darkness. And even like watching videos back then, I'm just like, wow. I was smiling, but I wasn't, right? Like, I was smiling, but I was feeling so bad. And even listening back to the lyrics now, I heard somebody say I think it was a TikTok video, I heard somebody say that they think that their subconscious talks to them through their music. And I was just like, wow. I think that happens to me sometimes. And I always talk about how I think that the music comes from God. Like, because people are like, oh, how can you do that? Even my producer, he's like, you write all these genres, like you do all this stuff and you write music so fast, and like, how are you doing that? And I'm like, it's not me, it's God. And people don't like when I say that, okay? Because I say it with my acting too. I say it with my directing. They're like, how are you doing that? It's God. I'm like, it's God. It is you, right? It is me. Like, I've been doing this for years. I've practiced. There's skills that are built up, but the source is always God, right? So, anyways, I think it's subconscious God talk to you. But like when I listen back to that song, I'm like, not only does it bring back the memories, like not only is it like a diary of that time in my life, but it's also like there's messages in there that I'm just like, wow, thank you, Jacob. And that's really how that feels. But yeah, go stream Summer Days Anniversary Edition. It's out on all streaming platforms. Thank you, thank you. Um, it's a beautiful moment. The album is going good. Things are happening. Also, like I said, we're gonna start doing some live performances. I will let y'all know and talk about that. So, today is also day 20 of my workout journey. We're gonna have 20 more days until August 1st is when we're stopping. At August 1st, stopping, you know. But August 1st is when the cut and all that stops for now. Um, a new vlog should be coming out this week too. And yeah, thank you for watching the podcast. Next week, we're going to have a great subject. So stay tuned. And yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for all the support on the YouTube channel, on the TikTok, which I will link. Thank you, seriously, from the bottom of my heart. And I'll catch you next week. All right?